Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope this is working. I remember the last time I tried to do one of these. It took a long time to figure out the audio. It shows here that the audio is working, and it'll also probably take a minute for you guys to actually start seeing this, as there's a little bit of a delay. But otherwise, as long as you guys can hear me and can see me, then feel free to start asking questions and I'll start answering them. But while I'm waiting for that, while I'm waiting for you guys to send your questions, I'm going to talk about a couple of things, just some announcements, some things that I'm doing to fill you guys in on. So first up, as some of you may know, if you are following me on my vlogging channel, I have started up a Patreon page. Now, for those of you who may be wondering what Patreon is exactly, it's basically a way for fans to fund some of their favorite people on YouTube, or artists or musicians, things like that, because in a competitive world, it's hard for a lot of people to make a living, or even to make the money necessary to create some of the products that they do. And just like making some of the big videos I do, like the Star Wars videos or the superhero parkour videos, those all take a lot of money to create, and it's not always available to make those as often as I'm sure you guys would like to see them. And so Patreon provides an opportunity for fans to kind of support those videos, just support the people they're fans of, and in return, they also get some perks, some benefits. And so because Patreon is a much smaller group of my fans and followers, it's easy for me to reply to questions they post there, or to watch videos they share, and there's different reward tiers. So if someone is pledging a little bit more money to help my videos, then I'm also able to offer something more, like featuring some of their video clips in one of my vlogs, just things like that. So you can check out my Patreon page. It's just I'll include a link in this video after it's uploaded on YouTube. But that's kind of how Patreon works, and I'm gonna be doing a lot more with it here coming soon. It's also, people who are on Patreon, they're not getting exclusive access to all of my videos. I probably will provide some exclusive videos just for them, but otherwise you'll still be able to see all my normal YouTube videos that you're used to seeing. And so just wanted to let you guys know about that. I'm also going to be doing some big channel changes. I don't know how big yet. I'm working with Daryl Eves. He's like the master at YouTube and everything around YouTube. He just is a super informative, knowledgeable guy, and I'm going to be working with him for a little bit to help me create a strategy plan for my channels and the things I'll be doing. So there may be some changes. I don't know for sure what those will be yet, but as a part of that, I'm also going to try and buckle down and get more tutorials out for you guys, and kind of do a revamp of tutorials. I'll do some refilm some of my old ones, and also start some new ones, and just be more consistent with those. And I've been doing collaborations with some awesome people, like the Kid Snippets YouTube channel. That's where they have little kids doing all the voice work, and then they kind of act out to it. It's super funny. You can check it out. It's Board Shorts TV is what their channel is. And I did another Deadpool thing for another channel and things like that. And then I'm also going to be doing a collaboration coming up soon with the Geekify guys, and that's once again a channel that Daryl Eves is a part of, and I'll be collaborating with him on that. So those are all things to watch out for that aren't happening on my channel, but will be coming out soon, and will be a lot of fun to watch. So let's start taking a look at the questions. I assume you all can hear me because no one's been saying anything else. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, last time I tried to do this, it took like a half hour to figure out audio problems, and so that was pretty annoying. But this time I think it's all working. So let's take a look what we got here. So what camera am I using? It's a good question. Actually, I think I have it right here. The camera I use is called the Sony RX100 Mark IV. That's the one I use the most for like all my training videos, and for almost pretty much all of my vlogs is this camera. just because it's compact and small, and it works very well for the types of video content I do. This is the little Gorilla Pod I use to set up the camera because it's easy to pack around. Because here's the thing with being a parkour athlete. It's all about being minimalist, you know, like ideally I don't like carrying a huge bag of camera gear around and equipment. Like parkour is meant to just, you know, be your clothes, maybe a small backpack, and then you go out and run, explore the city, train, do those types of things. So keeping everything small, just and compact and still high quality, just makes it easy to do that. So this is the camera here. It's so once again, it's the Sony RX100 Mark IV. It's just a digital camera, films in 4K, 1080p at 60 frames per second, and 1080, 120 frames per second, and also can go as slow as like 900 frames per second, which means it's like super slow-mo. It's not gonna be like super high quality, but still it works well for tutorials, so you can really get that nice slow motion effect to help you learn the trick. So this is the camera I use for most everything, except for sometimes I do use the Sony a6000, which is a similar camera, but it's a mirrorless DSLR style camera, so it has benefits of an interchangeable lens and things like that. So and once again, it just this one I have a mic for it, so it makes it easier for tutorials to film with it. If it's windy outside, this thing sucks for trying to record audio. It just picks it up really bad. But this, because I have a microphone I can attach to it, it really helps cut down background noise and wind noise. So anyways, that was kind of in depth on the cameras I use, but I'm sure you guys, some of you guys are curious. So let's see what other questions we got here. Sorry if I take a long time answering these questions. I'll try and keep it brief, or a little bit briefer, just so I can answer as many as I can. But let's see, going back to the top. Hey Ronnie, will you do a Barony or a front 180 tutorial? It's a good idea. I'm sure I'll do one of those eventually. It's currently not on my list of upcoming tutorials, but I'll make sure it's on there so you can get one soon. And that was from Daniel Bryant. And then we also have Aaron Parkour. Are you going to the Spring Jam on Saturday? I'm not sure yet because I didn't really know about it. I haven't been super up to date on the local Utah Facebook parkour group, and so so I'll try to check that out, see if I'll be able to make it. I'm not sure what I have going on this Saturday, but if I can make it, that'll be awesome. Let's see, this is from Sam the Dingus. How do you personally overcome fear of backflip? So there's lots of ways to overcome fear. For me, like trying to create as safe as an environment as possible is what's really going to help me be more confident and overcome that fear. There's always that fear, even if you feel like you're as safe as you can be and nothing could go wrong, there's still a little bit of fear of trying something new. And so sometimes if you think, when you have created your environment as safe as possible, you want to then, and you know you can just go for it, it's then a matter of just being able to clear your mind and not think too much about the flip, what could go wrong, or, you know, the scary aspect of it. Sometimes you just have to like get set up and then go for it. Like, don't give yourself a chance to think about it. You just, you know, if you know kind of the technique you need to do to try it, then and then commit to it. But still, you want to create as safe as an environment as possible, because if you don't, it can still be dangerous. And that's the reason you have the fear, is because there is a little bit of danger. So create safety first, and then after that, it's just a matter of being able to clear your mind of the fears. You know, just focus. Something that's actually helped me in the past is I envision myself as one of my favorite superheroes, like Spider-Man. When he's tumbling through the air over huge skyscrapers, like, he's fearless. He's in that moment. You know, if I picture myself as a superhero, that I'm just like, I have to do this move so that I can save somebody, you know, suddenly it like changes the perspective, and I feel like I'm somebody else. I'm not just like this normal human trying to do a dangerous move. Suddenly I'm a superhero who is capable of anything. And confidence plays a huge role in your ability, and also in your ability to overcome fear. So the more confidence you can have, the better you'll perform and the less scared you'll be. And part of that just comes with practice. All right. What's my favorite trick? So that's always a tough question. I get asked that question a lot because the thing with like parkour and free running, it's a little bit different for me than like sports like skateboarding or things like that, because even though there are definite tricks, you know, defined tricks, for me, a lot of what I enjoy the most about it is the experience of connecting tricks and creating flow and the process of learning the tricks and landing them. And so generally my favorite trick is the newest trick that I've just learned, because it feels so awesome to have that accomplishment. So recently for me, that's the 360 dive roll. I've been doing those everywhere because I finally learned how to do them outside of the gym, and those are just really fun and feel cool because it's something I've never really gotten down comfortably in the past. So right now that's my favorite trick, but it's probably next month, whatever new trick I learned, that'll probably become my favorite trick. So it kind of just depends, changes every month. Oh yeah, and that was from Aaron Wilson. And then sorry, looks like the video froze. Is it still working for you guys? Okay. Sorry, I lost where I was with the question. So, oh yeah, let's see. Stephen Richards says, your new video with Devin Supertramp was great. Thank you. That was a lot of fun. You can check it out on his channel. It was a Mercedes versus an RC car versus a parkour guy, which was me. And it was all in a fun little shipping container park. Let's see, Satan. I can do 540 fronts, but I cannot figure out how to back full. Any tips? Good question. So 540 fronts are impressive. That's really good. Tips just for doing basic back fulls. You know, with anything, it's all about progressions. And so, you know, I would start with the Arabian first and then kind of work in extra spin from there. When doing fulls, it's important that you still set tall like you would a normal backflip, but instead of going into the tuck, you really got to, as you throw that spin, pull it around hard and fast, because you're more laid out during a spinning than you are doing a tuck. You're going to rotate slower. So you really want to be able to whip it hard and almost kick your feet up and around as you're spinning. It sounds kind of complicated, but it's something that helps too if you practice spinning on like a trampoline or those types of surfaces. It makes it easier. That's hard for me to give full tips on without like having a video to demonstrate that. But there's just some basic tips for doing a back full. Let's see, John Cooper, do you prefer working with Devin Supertramp or making your own fun videos? So I love working with Devin Supertramp. It's definitely always a ton of fun, and I'm good friends with him. But I also love making my own fun videos, and I would say that's my favorite thing to do, because in that case, it's, you know, it's my own creation, it's my own direction. I can kind of do it how I want to do, and so it's a lot more creative process from my end, and so it's a lot more, I feel a lot more accomplished after doing one of my own videos, because I performed in it, I helped create it, I helped, you know, do whatever for it. And so at the end of it, it feels more like it's something I own, something I created and did myself. But that's not to say I don't love working for other people, you know, who have an idea, and I'm just there to try and recreate what they're picturing. You know, I still really enjoy that. But I definitely enjoy doing my own videos the most. All right, Bobby Bow, hey, do you have any tips for throwing a backflip? I've landed them on the ground before, but I bailed out one time and hit my neck and head, and now I'm super scared. Any tips are appreciated. yeah, so once again, going back to overcoming the fear, especially for like doing something like the backflip, if you have done it before, which means you have the capability there, I would recommend to just find a couple friends who can spot you, who can help make sure you don't land on your head. That will help make it feel less scary, and it'll also allow you to see where you are in your technique before actually doing it by yourself to make sure you can do it without landing on your head. Like I mentioned, it's just creating as safe as an environment as possible. I'm like, as much as I am about overcoming fear, I'm first and foremost about creating safety and being safe, and then overcoming fear, because fear is there to protect us. And if something clearly isn't safe, then maybe it's not a good idea to do it. But if you can create as safe as an environment as possible and do it, then do that. And then it's just a matter of overcoming your fear, which just is all mental meditation and focus and things like that, like I talked a little bit earlier. Are you live? Yes, I am live. What's your favorite parkour trick? Answered that question. All right, Hayden B. Miller, don't know exactly how to pronounce that, but how do I strengthen my joints? So there's lots of exercises for strengthening joints. It's all about like smaller motions. You don't want heavy weights when you're doing joint strength training necessarily. It kind of depends on what joint you're strengthening. But for example, for my wrists, if I'm doing joint training for my wrists, I'm going to do, like, say I'll go down into a push-up position and just do motions with just my hands, kind of rolling them with my push-up body weight on them, not really focusing on the push-up, because if you're just cranking away at push-ups, like, that'll strengthen your wrists, but it can also damage your wrists too if you don't have strong wrists. So it's important that when you're strengthening wrists, that you do minimal weight and you do more repetitions, and just always feel it out. Always feel decide what feels comfortable as you're moving, because if something's hurting or starts straining, then you should stop. You shouldn't keep doing the exercise and push through it. Joints you have to be very careful with, because it's not just like pure muscle that you can just tear down and it'll rebuild itself back up bigger. They're a lot more sensitive and can be injured a lot easier. So that's just, you can invent a lot of your own exercises just by feeling what works well on your joints, but just keep that in mind, those things in mind as you do strengthen your joints. Ryan Fleming, do you know Vinny Coriel? Yes, I do. I haven't seen him in a long time. We met like probably 5 years ago and trained. He came down here to Salt Lake, and it was a ton of fun training with him. And it's just amazing to see how much he's progressed since then. Like, he's super stellar of a parkour athlete and free runner. I watch his videos all the time. And so, yeah, I know who he is, and I've actually trained with him before. Who's your biggest parkour inspiration? I think in the beginning, it was definitely watching like David Bell videos. He was some of the first videos that were out there. And then shortly after that, discovering Daniel Ilabaka, his movement was kind of he was taking his movement to a new level. And so that kind of inspired me even more. And I watched his videos forever, and he still inspires me. I don't see as much of him anymore nowadays, but when I do, it's just like, yeah, that guy is awesome. And so he's definitely a big inspiration. Chase Armitage from the 3-run team has been a big inspiration for me for a long time. I loved the 3-run team back in the day, and I still follow them and everything. Tim Sheaf, I followed him for a long time, and so yeah, a lot of people are inspirations, a bunch of guys, and it's always changing. I'm always seeing new people, like nowadays, like even a local, Kaylin Chen. He's an incredible parkour athlete and just progressing so fast, and to me that's inspiring. And so he inspires me to push myself, and even though I probably can't progress as fast as him now or keep up with him, it's still cool just seeing someone local just reach those high level moves as quickly as he has, and just always pushing himself and training and progressing. It's super awesome. Nahid Ahmed, I think. Please forgive me if I pronounce anything wrong. how old do you have to be to start parkour? That's a great question, because a misconception with parkour, which is partly due to some of my videos creating, YouTube videos in general, creating this perception of parkour being all about these big moves, these big jumps and wall climbs and everything, when in reality, that's just the progression of where parkour actually started. Parkour starts when you first start moving, when you first start learning how to crawl and to walk. Those are all progressions in kind of this parkour timeline. You're learning how to move your body and control it within your environment. And then as you're a little bit older, you play on playgrounds as a child, you do monkey bars, and so it's, all these things are parkour. It's progressing just that basic human movement. So if you can do those basic human movements, then you can start parkour. It doesn't matter what age you are. And then from there, you just train and practice and exercise, and then you can progress those movements where you're slowly doing bigger and bigger jumps, bigger and bigger climbs, and things like that. So flips would be a little bit different, as flips aren't basic human movement. That's kind of evolving the human movement into a more of an artistic freestyle form, and they can be a little bit more dangerous and harder to progress into. But if you can create a safe environment for learning those, then that's definitely, an option. But the thing is, doing parkour, it's not about the flips. It's not about the freestyle. That's, if you want to do that, if that's how you want to, do your movement, then that's awesome. But otherwise, you can just learn basic human movement and evolve that and still be an amazing parkour athlete. Parkour USA, how's the baby? My baby's doing awesome. She's almost a year and a half right now, and she's walking around and almost jumping, not quite, but trying to, as soon as she's ready, I'll start teaching her, stuff. She's playing on the playground and things like that, and just having a ton of fun. If she were here, I might introduce her, but she's out for a walk with her mom. So thanks for asking, though. It's Husk. Can you ever come to Dallas, Texas? That would be awesome. I'd love to come to Dallas, Texas. Sadly, I can't just go places all the time whenever I want. I have to, work and make sure I'm supporting a family. But definitely, if the opportunity ever presents itself, or I ever do a U.S. tour or something like that, I'll put that on my list of places to come visit. 5 mad radishes. What do you do when your muscles are sore? So when my muscles are sore, all I really do is I actually stretch a lot after working out before my muscles get sore, and I found that really helps prevent a lot of soreness from coming on the next day. I'll still get sore, and then when I am sore, I still try to move and do stuff. I don't try to be comatose and just lay in a bed and not do anything, because that's not, even though you want your muscles to recover, it's still good to just keep them moving and active. You don't have to do any hard exercises necessarily, but just any sort of blood flow and movement and things. If you go jogging or just do some trampoline exercises, like whatever, it'll actually help that soreness go away a little bit. And that's basically all I do. Sometimes if I'm traveling, I'll soak in a hot tub, and that helps. Feels really good. I don't know if it really benefits any recovery or anything. I just know I feel awesome after soaking in a hot tub. Let's see, Impact Parkour Studios. Ronnie, have you ever been to the HKPK gym in Vegas? You should go sometime. It's where we train. Nope, I've never been there, but if I'm in Vegas, I'll definitely go check it out. Have you ever had, this is from the NIM RC, have you ever had knee joint problems, and do you use any supplements, vitamins? Not really. I did have a back problem. If you watch some of my older videos, I did have back problems years ago. I developed sciatica, which is a pinched nerve in my back, and that took 6 months to overcome and start recovering from. It wasn't an impact injury. It was just I think I didn't properly condition and stretch that area of my back very well, and so it just developed over time. That's probably the worst joint problem I've had, but as I've taken better care of it, it's gotten a lot better since then. My knees, if I've banged them recently, I'll kind of get like, or if it's really cold, I might feel a little bit in my knees, but not very often. That's only been like recently. I bruised both my knees in the past couple months, and so when it's been cold outside, my knee joints kind of feel it, but that's only been recently. Everyone's saying DAB, D-A-B. I don't know what that means, so if you let me know what that means, I might know how to respond to that request. Please, D-A-B. Oh, is that date of birth? Is that what? That's the only thing I can think of. Does anyone want to answer that and tell me what that means? No one's answering. Okay, whatever. So, bro flips. What if you woke up one day and you couldn't do flips parkour? That would be an extremely depressing day, because pretty much for the last 10 years, that's what my life has revolved around. It's what my career revolves around. It's what brings me joy. It's what I use as a stress reliever. It's what gives me exercise. And, you know, so many things. It's a huge part of my life that if one day I woke up for whatever reason and couldn't do it, it would be hard. I don't know how well I would take it. I would hope that, you know, I can move on with my life and figure out something else to do with not being able to move, apparently, because if I can't do parkour, that means I basically can't walk much of or do much of any sort of movement. So so if that ever happened, then yes, I'd be very sad, and I don't know what I would do. Stephen Richards, are you still making the quick tip trick tutorials like you did with the wall flip? Not really. I started that as a test just to see how it does, and I didn't really feel like people were really taking to it well. I mean, some people liked it, but I just I didn't follow through with it just because I didn't know how beneficial it would be to my channel. So, but maybe with the way I'm going to be revamping my channel here soon, maybe I'll include those again. I'll see. I'll be figuring that all out. Still getting a ton of dab requests. What is dab? Please dab. Dab. All right. Sorry, the comments keep changing and I'm losing where I'm at. Oh, date of birth? Okay, that's what I thought it was. I just didn't know for sure because that seemed like an odd request. My date of birth is August 28th, 1990. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm 25 years old right now, I think. I don't really keep track of it that much. I kind of just, you know, I'm not a big birthday person. I don't really care if people celebrate my birthday or do those things. So it's not date of birth? Okay, then who told me that it's date of birth? Someone's got to tell me what DAB means if you want me to respond to this, because like half of you guys in the comments are asking me for DAB, and if it's not date of birth, then okay, whatever, we'll move on, answer more questions, not waste our time on something I don't know what it is. So how long does it take to create and shoot a new video? That's super relative based on the video I'm filming. A tutorial, for example, may take only like 2 hours to go out and film, but then it takes, you know, additional few more hours to edit and upload and do those things. And depending on how long the tutorial is, it extends the amount of time it takes. Then I have to edit the thumbnail for it. So altogether, it could take, you know, a full day to do a tutorial, sometimes shorter if I just know exactly how I want it to go. If I am doing a bigger video project like the Star Wars parkour video, which is the biggest project I've done on my own channel, it can take a long time. That video took 2 full days of filming down in southern Utah in St. George. But before that, it was days of meeting with people and storyboarding and planning the video and figuring out the characters and the costumes and contacting the costume designer, Allison Dredge, to figure that out. And so there definitely was a lot of time that went into it beforehand. And then also afterwards, the edit took a long time because of VFX and editing and just, you know, I had a friend edit it. Chris Romrell did the editing for that one, and then Zeb Jackson and Sam Hudgens from Freakin' Rad did the VFX, and so it kind of goes back and forth. They'd do an edit, send it to me. I'd send back suggestions on changes, and then once we had a solid edit, we'd send it to the VFX guys to do VFX, and then we'd offer suggestions and things like that. So overall, I couldn't tell you how many hours it took to create a video like that, but it was a couple months of planning and filming and editing and everything, because we wanted it to turn out awesome. Let's see, do you watch Psych, Ronnie? No, I don't watch Psych. I did watch the latest season of Daredevil. I thought that was awesome. Some really cool fight scenes and parkour scenes in there. Let's see, CP Southern 27. Can I start parkour with a disability? I obviously can't speak from experience here because I don't have a disability, but I have seen people with disabilities do parkour. I think it just depends what your disability is, and then working around that and figuring out how you can do parkour with the disability. For example, I've seen a couple kids who only have one leg and they're doing parkour. They're doing precision jumps and front flips and cat leaps and things like that, all with one leg. And so I know there's definitely, I know you can, I just, I couldn't tell you for sure, you know, depending on what your disability is and how motivated you are to work around it and to do things, you know, kind of adapt the movement to whatever it is you're capable of. Yeah, people are still saying, bro, he's not doing DAB, D-A-B, and I still don't know what it is, so obviously I can't do it. I don't know why I thought it was date of birth, but oh yeah, because one of you told me that. Bro flips, how often do you go to gyms? As far as workout training gyms, I don't go ever. I do everything at home or out training. I just do body weight exercises. When it comes to parkour gyms, which is what I assume you're referring to, I'll go maybe once a week on average. That's the time I usually have to work on things that I'm not comfortable working on outside yet. And during the winter, I probably go a lot more, like maybe 2 or 3 times a week. But now that it's warmed up, I actually probably haven't been in like 2 weeks. I go either once a week or whenever I feel like there's something I want to work on. But as long as the weather's warm, I'm outside training, outside running around, being a crazy man. Joe the Beakster, how long does it take you to learn a new trick? Well, that's, again, a relative question depending on what the trick is. Some tricks I've been able to learn after just a couple tries. Other tricks take me a long time. I've been working on for years, like the con gainer, for example. I still can't do it. I can do it in the gym, and I've landed it in the gym, but it's not consistent enough to take it outside or to land it consistently. So that's one I've been working on for years, and so it's super relative. Like some vaults I learned after my first try or a couple tries, so it's hard to say for sure. Let's see, Jackson Anderson, what is the basic parkour move I should focus on training with? I think as far as the basic parkour move goes that you focus on in your training is the basic roll, the parkour roll, the break fall roll. Just being able to always incorporate that in your runs or from jumps or drops, like the more comfortable you are with that move, the more confident you will be in and if you ever trip or fall, or if you're, you know, doing random jumps, it's that's just a good one to have have down and to train with a lot of your moves. Bro flips, are you going to do another parkour jam? I'm planning on it. I haven't scheduled anything yet, but I think I'm definitely going to do another jam for this year just to see how many people we can get to come out. But I can't give you information on when that'll be yet. All right. Ethan Cleary, have you ever knowingly trespassed while doing parkour? Now, in answering this question, I'm speaking as a very, from the point of view of don't do what I have done, but at the same time, just be smart. Like, I don't actively look for opportunities to go on rooftops and trespass and do those types of things because it's, I want to avoid that image. But at the same time, there's been times where it's definitely, I see the potential for something awesome and I do it for a video. So, which here, I don't know about other countries, but here for the most part, being on rooftops is technically trespassing. So I've never gotten in trouble for it. I have, people tell me to get off and, so I'll do that. I'll always, if someone comes up and tells me, kicks me out of an area or off a roof or whatever, I always listen. I always want to be as respectful as possible and I'll move on and, tell them thanks for being cool about it if they were cool about it. Most of the time people are. Sometimes people can be pretty angry about it. It just depends, I guess. YT Fate, how do you start doing 360 dive rolls? I can't do them. So starting 360 dive rolls, just to briefly give you some tips, is I would start with an Arabian dive roll. That's where you're like flipping backwards, but do a 180 into a dive roll, and then kind of just work into it from there. I'll hopefully be doing a 360 dive roll tutorial soon, so you'll be able to get more in-depth answer there. But just always think progressions. Are there simpler moves that are similar that you can progress into it? What is a good age to start doing parkour training? Kind of like I answered earlier, that there really is no age requirement for doing parkour and free running. It's just being aware of what your body is capable of and being aware of your limitations so that you can train and progress from where you're at. Hey Ronnie, what was the first flip you learned? I'm asking this because I am trying to get into flips from Daniel Bryant. The first flip I learned, at least on a trampoline, was the front flip. And then eventually I learned the backflip on a trampoline. And then on flat ground, the first trick I learned was the front flip. I put out a mattress and would just start practicing the front flip onto it. It was a lot less scary than trying a backflip, a lot less dangerous too. So I learned how to land on my feet. That is very low on my feet, but my first flat ground trick was a front flip. And then I think shortly after that was the backflip off of the ledge. I still took me about a year or a year and a half to actually be able to learn the backflip on flat ground after learning it off of the ledge. What is the, let's see, PK Ninja, what is the business aspect of your parkour shoots like? Do you pay cameramen? It varies from video to video. Sometimes it's just a collaboration and the people who are helping me film the video are getting promotion to their own YouTube channel for helping me. That's how it is a lot of the times because it's really expensive. And I do, as much as I can, I try to pay people. So if I ever am doing a sponsored video, where I'm getting paid, then I'll make sure that everyone helping me on the video project is being paid as well. But YouTube monetization, video monetization by itself doesn't pay very well. And so even like the Star Wars video, for example, it has over 1 million views, but it's not even close. I haven't even come close to earning enough money on that video to pay for how much it actually costs to make. And so for me, that was the video that was a passion project, something that was a lot of fun to do, and it was also a way to show what kind of videos my channel was capable of to hopefully get bigger sponsorships in the future so that I can do more big videos like that in the future. Worst parkour injury. Last year I probably had the worst sprained ankle I've ever had. I still recovered after a few months, but before that, just my sciatica, which was that pinched nerve back problem I had, is probably the worst one I've had. That put me out for 6 months. All right, Mauricio Alascuada, I hope. Do you have any tips for teaching kids how to do parkour? I teach, so some of the students I teach get kind of scared due to certain basic moves. As far as teaching kids, just something I would keep in mind is that kids oftentimes are a lot more natural, are natural learners at basic human movement, because that's what they've been doing their whole life up to that point. As we get older, or as a lot of adults get older, they stop moving as much. They don't do the same types of movements, and so can lose touch with that type of progression in movements. But still, kids, it's important to make sure that they're doing things safely, because a lot of kids are still at an age where they don't know how to calculate risks and calculate what their body is capable of, and so they're a lot more willing to try crazy things sometimes, and other times they're just scared to try anything because they've never done anything like this before. So every kid is different. So the biggest thing I'd recommend is that you pay close attention to each individual kid to see where they're at with their ability, what their confidence level is like. If it's a kid who seems like they're shy and kind of scared to do things, just always make them feel good and confident about what they're doing. If you can, help them see what they're already good at and then help them progress from there and make them feel good about that, they'll feel more confident in themselves. If it's a kid who, is trying to do things much faster than his skill level allows, then just slow him down a little bit, tell him, show him how it's, you don't need to do those crazy tricks right away. It's fun to do these basic moves first and kind of variations of those, and then progress into those bigger ones as he learns how to do those. Those are my basic tips for teaching kids. I haven't taught kids in a couple of years now, but that's just some things that helped me when I was teaching. Spencer Wood, what has been your favorite shoot so far in your career? My favorite shoot, there's been some good ones. I really loved my time in China just because it was such a new experience, such a cool culture to be a part of, and just being on rooftops and doing that. As far as my own videos, my favorite shoot is probably still the Spider-Man one, because it was just such an awesome feeling being Spider-Man, my favorite superhero, in the city and just doing parkour and just creating an awesome video. That was a really fun one. The Star Wars one was a ton of fun. And I just love the videos where I'm just training with friends. Like, they're not as high production. I'm just hanging out with friends and we're just out training. Those, they're simple and easy, but they're fun. That's what makes parkour fun. What was it like landing your first cork? My first cork, I believe I actually did in my backyard on grass years ago. I had learned the kind of a running cheat gainer type variation, and before actually learning a proper cork, I was working on running gainer fulls, which is much harder. I just didn't know how to properly do a J-step. But then so I was practicing those and would usually fall on my hands and knees or my side. But then once I learned the J-step, it became a lot easier, and I was able to start landing on my feet. All right, Quinley Newberry, how do I consistently do proper mounts on wall runs? I think by mounts, are you referring to just the technique, like hitting it with the right amount of steps so that you can do the wall run right? For me, that's just come from a lot of practice and getting familiar with what the length of my steps are with the distance from the wall. So now I've reached a point where I can just look at a wall and seeing how, looking at how far away it is, I can immediately kind of pace my steps in a way that I can hit the wall exactly how I need to first try. I don't normally, need to do much stutter stepping to try and hit it right, or I don't have to pace my steps or do it multiple times. Starting out, I had to do that to kind of figure out where my body was with that, what my steps were like. But after doing it so many times, it just becomes instinctive. You can just see a wall and know exactly how you need to run up to it to hit it just right. Brian Ortiz, are you going to Beast Coast this year? Do you still overthink some tricks or something you want to get on flat ground? I don't have plans right now to go to Beast Coast. I'll be honest, I'm not very good at going to the big national jams. It's hard when, you know, I have a family to support and I'm, you know, I'd love to go out to those things. It's hard to plan for, and it's just a different environment, you know, it's different, you know, trying to do those things when I have other obligations and responsibilities, but I'll definitely think about it. Maybe that'll be a cool opportunity. What was your other question? Sorry, I forgot what it was. I'll keep looking at other questions though. Do you have a solution for bringing backpacks from Budley Script? I can't think of anything to safely carry, phone, wallet, and stuff during runs. So the backpack I use most of the time is just this basic little blue backpack. It's not very big. It's got a chest strap and a secondary like waist strap, so it's pretty secure. But that way it's small, so I can do parkour while I'm carrying it on my back. I just can't do rolls or anything, so I don't crush my phone. I do have another backpack just for when I have to carry more camera equipment. So this is like a normal size backpack, but most of the time I try to bring this when I can because, like I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, I like being minimalist. I have small cameras, small gear, small everything. All right, I'll maybe answer one or two more questions and then our time will be about done. So let's take a look at what we have here. YT Fate, do you prefer the parkour side or the tricking side? For me, I prefer the parkour side. I definitely love tricking and I love, you know, the balance of free running, but parkour is always at the base there. It's always at the base of my natural instincts and what I started out doing. And so for me, that's probably my favorite thing to do is parkour. And tricking is fun to do as well on the side. But if I had to choose, definitely parkour. All right, Runaway, will you ever post your talent show video from high school? So if you ever, I actually think that's up on this channel right now. So if you look back to my oldest videos on this channel, it should be up unless I've made it private since then. If it is private, I'll make it public, but go ahead and look for it. It should still be there, but maybe I'll upload it again as just kind of a throwback type thing if it's not there anymore, but I think it should be there. Cedric, Ronnie, you're the best. You're my motivator and also a kind teacher for me. Heart. Oh, I appreciate that. Okay, so I know I get a lot of messages from a lot of you guys on my Facebook and email, and I used to years ago, or a couple years ago, I was really good at replying to everyone, but just as I've grown, it's become harder and harder to do that, and so I'm not able to reply as often as I like, but I still read a lot of the messages and I really appreciate the comments you share, but just know that if I haven't replied to any of your messages, I would love to, but it's, you know, it's hard to reply to all of them as I'm busy, and but I still appreciate the sentiment, and so just know that I appreciate you guys and everything you do, and I apologize if I've never been able to answer your messages. And like I mentioned at the beginning, now that I'm doing Patreon, that's one place where I know I will be able to focus my efforts, and people who have become patrons on my page, I'll be able to reply to directly and be that direct source of contact. And so you can check that out. Aaron Baker, where did you get your trampoline? It's a spring-free trampoline. I just bought it on the website, springfreetrampoline.com, I think is what it is. You can just Google search it. It's nice because it's not like the springiest trampoline, but it's a lot closer to, it's a lot safer as far as you don't have to worry about springs and things like that. So for me in getting that, it was more about, like, because of what I do as a career, it would be kind of lame if I injured myself on a backyard trampoline and wasn't able to do jobs because of that. So for me, it was important getting a trampoline that I knew I'd be safe and not have to worry about affecting things. All right, well, okay, maybe one more question. I know I've done a few more than I said I would. But it's fun. It's fun talking to you guys and answering your questions. And hopefully I can do these more often because I enjoy them. But there's a little bit of pressure doing these because for 45 minutes I have to keep a straight face. Well, not a straight face, but just, you know, focused and, you know, look semi-presentable. How old was I when I started parkour? I was 15 years old. And so that was, had just started high school. Saw some cool videos and some kids in high school doing parkour, and it just connected with me. It was something that just looked like fun, and I started doing it, just started learning in my own backyard. So that's all the questions I'll answer for now. I'll let you know in the future when I do another live streaming event, so you can ask more questions. But also, if you just subscribe to this channel, my youtube.com/Ronster82, then you'll be able to just follow my vlogs where I just throughout the vlogs answer a lot of questions you may have in more depth and oftentimes with things revolving around it. Cool, that's all I can think of to talk about for now, but hope you guys have enjoyed this little session. It's always fun doing this, like I mentioned. Just be sure to follow me on Facebook or Patreon or any of these social medias to stay up to date with what's happening in the future. So it's been awesome talking to you guys. Hope you guys have fun and stay safe in your training, and just always have fun. You know, as much as you can take parkour training seriously, it's also about having fun and just being playful. You know, being inspired by little kids who like to run and climb things and jump off things. That's what inspired parkour, and that's oftentimes the mindset we need to remind ourselves it's about. It's not about being the best. It's not about doing the craziest tricks. It's about having fun with it. It's about exploring your movement and just using your imagination. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and hopefully I'll see you soon, either at a jam coming up if you're here local, or if not, on another live stream. So see you guys later.